So, Super Mario RPG is more than just a game to me. It's the game that began my love for video games 27 years ago back in 1996. As the first game I ever played and beat, I was so proud of myself of that accomplishment. I watched my brother play through it first and wanted to do the same. But unlike him at the time, it took me a good probably 8 months to get through it. And yeah, I know that seems like a long time for a game that takes like 12 hours on a normal playthrough. But I wasn't even 5 years old when I started playing it, so you can imagine the challenges there. Also, it wasn't the first game I watched my brother play and beat, but Super Mario RPG stood out to me from those other games thanks to just the vibrant colors and cool music. So I jumped in and never looked back, and here I am 27 years later playing the same game, and I couldn't be happier. But does the remake do the original justice? And do certain design choices and gameplay elements hold up to this day? Also, per usual, expect a lot of spoilers ahead. Now, probably the biggest area that the remake has seen in terms of changes outside of obviously the graphics is in the battle systems. Battles in Super Mario RPG are turn-based, so your character performs actions and then the enemies perform actions, and the order of these actions can be decided by character speed, but you also have an action command system where when you perform an attack, defending, or special move, you can deal bonus damage, reduce damage received, or have special moves deal additional effects by performing the proper button input. And the various inputs range from rotating the stick to holding down the A button for timing or even clicking A at the right time to continue an attack. All of this leads to a very engaging system where you need to pay attention at all times to get the most out of your characters. Definitely in the original, while not necessarily the hardest game out there, could be very punishing at times, where in the remake, they have lowered the difficulty in so many different aspects. So for example, unlike the original, in the remake when you time a perfect attack, you will deal splash damage to all enemies. This might not seem huge, but when you're causing enough chip damage to another enemy that equals a normal character attacking, that's huge. That one less attack you have to perform per battle, or that one less hit you take per battle, really makes so many areas way easier. Now, I don't dislike this idea, but it could have been implemented a little more interesting, such as making it a piece of equipment so you have to sacrifice an accessory slot, or maybe it's an ability only the ultimate weapons had. Since in Super Mario RPG, like any traditional RPG, you have 3 slots where you are able to equip items, which are weapons, armor, and accessories. Now, 2 more new features to the game is the ally buffs and triple moves, which if you're keeping track is 2 more features that make the game even easier, though I do absolutely love these. So as you perform successful action commands, you build a chain that gives you bonus buffs depending on which allies are in your party, like Geno increases your attack and speed, while someone like Peach will increase your magic defense. Then as you perform actions, you will also be building up a gauge for a triple move attack that also varies on who's in your party. So Mario, Peach, and Bowser will launch a devastating attack, while Mario, Peach, and Mallow will revive and heal everyone. And the animations for these triple moves are so good, it kind of displays the teamwork and friendship of the characters in a way you really wouldn't normally see otherwise, which also leads to another feature, which is switching party members during battle that once again makes the game even easier, because now instead of 3 characters going down in battle, you need all 5 to go down to lose. Also, you have a storage box for extra items, can hold more coins, and if you have 2 or less characters, you have a Toad assist as well when in a pinch. Yes, I know. All of you are right, I keep poking at the game for being easier. I mean, they do have a difficulty option called Breezy, but though all of these changes make the game easier, they are changes that also make it way more fun and helps modernize the game. Not to mention probably the best new addition of the game probably couldn't have been as interesting without these changes, and that is the post-game boss fights. After playing the main story, a new side quest opens up where you have to rematch various bosses. These fights test all of your skills and make use of every mechanic in the game. When rematching Punchinello, you need to focus on time blocks and returning his bombs back at him to do damage. Against Booster, you need to keep your speed up so you can disrupt his attack so he doesn't one-shot your party. Bellome is a battle against status effects. You have to keep the candles from lighting against the cake. You have to build up your triple move to win the fight against Jinx. And the rematch with Kulix is the ultimate test of everything you learned. Also, his design is so badass in 3D. Overall, making the game easier so you can make these post-game bosses interesting is a trade-off I'll gladly take, though I really do wish we had a new game plus with a hard mode, so all the cool items you unlock from these battles could be used through an entire playthrough, and honestly feels like a missed opportunity. Hopefully, they can add one down the road eventually. But anyways, another great thing about the remake is some of the other quality of life improvements, like being able to pull up a menu while running around for quick healing or using items, the ability to fast travel using the map, and actually being able to select different areas within locations. We have a monster list where you can see weaknesses for enemies you fight, a scrapbook that keeps you up to date on the story, which is told from the perspectives of different characters. There's a sound player we can listen to all the music, which I should throw out. You can do the classic original music or the remake music, which both are top tier. Then last but not least, the UI is so much better in this remake. The original's UI was terrible, just no other way to put it, so that's a much needed update I was glad to see. So with all that said, let's hop over to what exploring this world is like. From the Mushroom Kingdom to the iconic forest maze, which I have to throw out has one of the best soundtracks ever, the variety of areas you explore, though small in size, can pack some very interesting gameplay experiences that really lean on classic 2D Mario elements, though one could argue the original Super Mario RPG was also the first game we got a 3D Mario in with how he moved around the world. But while exploring these areas, you will be jumping over enemies, hitting blocks for power-ups and items. There are a ton of minigames from riding barrels to racing on Yoshi. The experiences this game throws at a player alongside the turn-based RPG elements really make it one of the most unique games out there, at least back in the day it did, though it still holds up today, and these little diversions are still just as fun as they were back then. With that said, there are still some areas that feel very old and needed some updating that made me wish this wasn't just a one-to-one remake of the original. This starts with Star Hill, one of, if not the most beautiful area in the game. Feels very empty. Outside of finding some unique enemies, activating stars to open doors, and seeing people's wishes across the world, it's a very boring area to explore, I'll just say it. I really wish instead of just walking in and getting the star, we at least had a boss guarding it, or maybe Gino could have said before we go any further, I'm going to test you Mario to make sure you have what it takes to continue this journey in a 1v1 fight. It would have been really cool and could have reinforced the strong bond between the two, though I will say it was nice for them to bring it back for the post-game stuff, though it would have been really cool if they made the Kulix rematch take place on Star Hill. I just feel like that would have been fitting. Now, the next thing that I don't necessarily dislike the idea of it, but towards the end of the game when you're back in Bowser's castle, there is a section with 6 doors. You will have to complete 4 of the doors to move on, while behind these doors are a variety of paths, 2 for fighting enemies, 2 for platforming, and 2 for quizzes and puzzle solving. I think you can guess what gave me so much trouble playing this game as a child, and I still don't like them to this day. That's the quiz paths. These are something else, like who thinks about putting an idea like this in a game? So in one of these puzzle paths, you will be answering questions about the game, counting barrels, and deciding the order of a race. Mess up any of these and you start at the very beginning of the path. This is so ridiculous, and while it has a charm to it, I just feel this is an outdated area that should have been redone. They should have just done a minigame side room that was optional in Bowser's Castle where you can get unique items. That would have been a great change instead of possibly forcing players to suffer through this. Okay, now let's talk about performance. I experienced a ton of frame drops in different areas, and I have no idea why. This wasn't during minigames, it wasn't during fights or anything like that, just random areas had crazy lag, like outside of the sunken ship, I just get blasted with frame drops. Such a strange deal, and it makes me wonder how. I strongly feel like this should not be taxing on the Switch at all, but who knows, just something I noted. Then switching focus over to the story, it's not bad. Mario goes to rescue Peach from Bowser, but all 3 end up getting blasted out of Bowser's castle when Smithy and his gang show up after destroying the Star Road. Then Mario has to travel around gathering the star pieces while solving various issues for characters. Out of all the characters, I always felt Mallow had the most interesting backstory and kind of character arc, if you can call it that. Like, Gino is great, but I just wish we got more for his character. Then as you play through the game, they redid a lot of the key moments with full-on 3D cutscenes. I love and hate these because they have no sound most of the time. Like, the characters just being silent is so weird. Like, seriously, watch this. Would that not be 10 times better with the characters making sounds? I don't know, just seems like a strange design choice. But even with the issues I had with the remake, I really do believe this is the best way to experience Super Mario RPG. The original will forever be my favorite game of all time, and the art style of it will always, just plant a stake into my heart, but the remake really does a great job of introducing new people to one of the most unique RPGs from back in the day, and I really do hope this motivates Nintendo to finally make a sequel to this game. No, I'm not counting the Paper Mario games, because I can only imagine what could be possible if they follow the concepts of the original with the tools available to them today. Not to mention this world and characters within it is one I would gladly return to.